All right, I wanted to make a quick video about the Ohio race. They recently just passed the abortion right to be a constitutional right in the state of Ohio. And this is a demographic breakdown by sex, by race, and age. There's a lot of things that we can observe looking at these statistics, and I have a lot of opinions about it, of what they say. So I want to start first with black men and black women. I'm a black man, black, Hispanic, whatever you want to say. I consider myself black. And what's interesting about this statistic in Ohio is what is most pro white, encouraging of white supremacy? What is more in support of those things than exterminating and murdering of the black race and allowing for that and encouraging that and making a profit off of that? It is a multi-billion, I would say million, multi-million dollar industry to exterminate and murder your own lineage and bloodline. It is a million dollar industry to do so. Highly profitable. So not only does the white man make a lot of money from the extermination of black babies, they also exterminate the future of the black race and the people that want to exterminate themselves and their race, quote unquote. If we were going to speak this way, I never speak this way, but I'm just speaking in the same language that these Marxist slash black supremacist slash Democrats, this is how they speak. So I'm going to just for a thought experiment, I'm going to speak the same way they do, of obsessing about race and the powers at hand against the black man and the white man and oppressing and oppressors, yada, yada, yada. The stuff that we always hear. For those of you that are against white supremacy and you voted pro choice for the extermination of your own bloodline and lineage, you are officially a white supremacist. You are officially siding with the white supremacists. If you are a black or white man, or excuse me, a black man and a black woman, and red means support of this particular abortion right, pro murder, whatever euphemism you want to use. All these euphemisms are so fascinating to me. Calling it a zygote, calling it a clump of cells, calling your own extension of you, part of you, right? Because whenever you have a kid, it's not simply like a entity of its own completely. It is an extension of you. It is your DNA. It isn't an alien. It isn't some new being. It isn't some new type of of animal of its own. No, it is a human. It is an extension of you. It has your DNA in it. It has your bloodline in it. It has your lineage in it. It has your skin tone. It has particular characteristics of you in it. And it is also an extension of you to a certain degree. So, really, whenever you say, I want the ability to murder my own, you are also saying you are okay with murdering and exterminating you, part of you, an extension of you. I never understood the pro choice arguments. None of them make sense. I've seen a lot of debates. And the common theme that I'm noticing is, for one, people just want the power to dictate if they can take away life or bring in life without any responsibility or accountability for the actions that took place before the conception of new life. It makes no sense to me, folks. The other thing that we can come to a lot of conclusions on, and now there's interesting comments here. This comment is so interesting to me. This Amy saying 65, this is on X or Twitter. Amy says 65 and older shouldn't get a vote on reproductive rights. This is the most naive comment. What's interesting is that I looked online at what the oldest age was for a woman that had a baby. What's the record? And there was a baby that had, or a woman that had a gave birth at 73 years old. So Amy is all about women's rights until she doesn't. Now she's putting a limitation to saying, well, I only care about women that are below 65. Women that are above 65 that can have children that we've seen, I don't give a damn about them. Fuck them. So she doesn't, again, it goes to show that these people have a particular, they have such a strong desire to want to murder their own innocent life of the future so much that they're willing to put constraints on their own sex even further without even realizing that their own sex, anything that's above 65 years old, can still have kids. They're still also can have responsibility for the future, because let's say they have one of the granddaughters or daughters has drug issues or passes away, and maybe the father is not present. A lot of the times the grandparents that are 65 and older got to take care of these kids. So they should have a say of the future of this country. And this is the most naive comment. This is the dumbest shit. This Amy chick literally thinks that she's speaking some rational thought. Makes no sense to me. And she's only saying that, why? Because 65 and older said they mostly disagree with abortion and pro-choice. That's the only reason she's saying that. If 65 and older would have said, we agree with pro-choice, she would have shut the fuck up and she wouldn't have said nothing. But she's only saying that because in a desperate attempt to cope with the reality that a generation of people disagree with your ass. Makes no sense to me. These people haven't thought through their arguments. 18 to 29. I want to talk about the difference between 18 to 29 generation, which is what, millennials and Gen Z, and 65 and older. 18 to 29, by a fact, in my opinion, is the weakest generation. It is the most coddled generation. It is the most privileged generation. It is the most a generation that has the most amount of conveniences, more than any other generation in the history of mankind. We have a device that can get access to information all around the world. These devices cost up to $1,000, and these kids have these things. Parents are giving to them these smart devices that allow them to get access to information that we never were able to get. That the 65 and over, their upbringing when they were 18 to 29, they didn't have the luxuries of that. They had to work drastically harder to get information. They had to work drastically. These guys built the country. They fought for what we have right now, the 65 or over. These guys deserve an immense amount of respect. They have a high amount of wisdom compared to the 18 to 29 that has no experience, hasn't really had to go through any type of extreme or hard trials or tribulations or adversity. Adversity to the 18 and 29 is things like free speech and microaggression. My feelings are hurt because of your speech. Versus 65 and over had to go out and fight and serve their country and risk their life and deal with the draft. There's such a huge disconnect here, and this is the difference between the timeline. I guess one can say that it is our biggest setback, being born with so much peace and so much lacking of any type of trials and tribulations, that we have to make up and manufacture these issues. Versus 65 and older, they actually had issues. They had to fight for their country. They had to risk their life frequently of going overseas. I have a lot of people that I know that are 65 and older, and I talk to them pretty frequently. A lot of my friends are this age. And when you shut the fuck up and ask them questions about their upbringing, about what they had to deal with, you will get humbled. They're not just these old, stubborn, traditional, whatever label you want to give them for you to be a stubborn brat that doesn't know shit. 18 to 29, man, like 82% of this generation between that age bracket agree with murdering their own kind. I'm going to make a couple arguments. One, to the degree that you believe you should be able or desire to murder your own kind, that is a reflection of your worldview. That is a reflection of your self-worth that you have upon yourself. Truly. The people of the past saw them building a legacy and were so fulfilled in themselves that they wanted to continue their own, which is why they reproduced. They wanted to continue their wisdom and ideas for the future. Because when you die, everything is gone. How does it make sense that you build an empire in one generation and you don't want to continue that legacy? You just want it to when you die, it all dies and then the government confiscates it and then bam, you're gone forever? Most people of the past said, I'm going to build an empire and I'm going to pass it to my generation and I want it to continue and continue and I want my last name to continue and continue. Most everyone that's alive right now, that's one of the reasons why you're alive right now. That was the mindset of the past. The other reason why people were having kids in previous generations, and listen, this is outside the religious realm, was because of survivability. What's interesting is a lot of countries in the third world, when I look at country, I think it's Niger, Niger. I'm probably saying it right. Niger, maybe it's nigger, I don't know. That country has the most kids out of any other country in the world. Reproductively. I think it's on average 7 to 6 kids per woman. I looked it up the other day. Now, one of the reasons I would argue that they have a lot of kids is, for one, the chances of survivability may be less in those particular areas because they have less medical advancements. That is true. That's another reason why we see more children being had 100 years ago, 200 years ago in this nation because of the probability of complications within the baby. But that also shows the strong desire to have children and the need to have children. That you're willing to have a high amount and you realize that there may be some health complications, but you realize, well, let's just have more kids to increase the likelihood of our lineage and bloodline continuing. Because the mindset in a lot of these third world countries of having children is that they need children for survivability. More labor, more people to farm, and the chances of success and survivability is higher when you have more people in your family, in your household, to be able to support and bring more food to the table, maybe bring more money to the table. So this whole argument, I never understood this whole argument of people saying having kids is such a burden. It brings me down. It's financially so expensive and impossible. When you look at third world countries that have it drastically worse than you and are willing to have more kids than you, and you look at your ancestors that had shit compared to you as far as luxuries and conveniences and free stuff and support throughout the system, there are a lot of pro-life nonprofits that will give you a lot of things to assist you with the cost of having children. People didn't have that 100 years ago, 200-300 years ago. Yet they still had more children than you. and were wanting to have more children than you. So the whole argument of kids are so expensive right now, why would I want to have kids? It makes no sense because people in the past that had less than you still had children. They didn't use that excuse. They didn't allow that excuse to justify them not having kids. 18 to 29, I would say, is the most immoral, lacking virtues and ethics and philosophies and meaning. This generation really lacks any meaning of why they should continue life. This generation hates themselves more than any other generation. And I'm not saying they hate themselves. They hate themselves because they think that they're in this prison. They think that the world's against them. They think that that everything's so hard. Granted, there are some genuine issues that we have to deal with. I'm part of this generation. I am 29 years old. And I would be part of the 18% that would have voted against pro murder in the state of Ohio. And I would have been part of the black man right here, the 13% that voted against it as well. This makes no sense to me, folks. And what's shocking to me is there is nothing pro-black about being able to murder your own kind. Why do you continue the philosophical motive that Margaret Thatcher, is that her, Margaret Thatcher, the founder of Planned Parenthood? Pretty sure it's Margaret Thatcher. Let me make sure. Look at my phone. Nope. Let me make sure I get this right. Hold on. Margaret Sanger. Yes. Margaret Sanger. She believed in the extermination of the Negro race. She was a devout racist. Look at the history. There's a book that I have here that I probably find. Should have had it ready to go, but it talks about how Margaret Thatcher or Margaret Sanger was a devout racist and wanted to use Planned Parenthood as a way to get the black folk to exterminate their own kind. Right? All these rational, persuasive arguments that we hear from different influencers that persuade the black man, right? Like one argument, these arguments, it's crazy to me, but they work, right? Because clearly, look at the black women and black men that want to murder their own kind, and don't care about the future of their own people. They have bought into the argument that you're too poor. If you're poor, the chances of you killing your own kind is very high, and you shouldn't have to increase the burden of being like the bullshit that comes of today. That I'm too poor, I'm incapable, so I have to resort to murdering my own baby. Right? They buy into these arguments without realizing that third world countries in Africa, like Niger, have drastically less than you and have, on average, 7 kids per woman. That your ancestors wanted a lot of kids, that you wouldn't be here right now if they bought into that argument of we're poor black folks from the South. I mean, it's crazy to me. Just think through your argument. Think through those arguments. They make no sense. That your ancestors were able to have you 2, 3, 4, 5 generations past with drastically less than you, with more adversity and risk than you, and still were willing and wanting to have kids. That argument makes sense. Makes no sense to me. That I'm too poor to have kids. That having kids is just too expensive and impossible. Right now, I looked at the statistics. America is not propagating enough to replace the amount of people dying and retiring. This is one reason why maybe they're bringing a lot of illegals into the country to assist with that. I think I heard a senator say that because we're not having enough kids, which I looked it up online, I'm pretty sure since the passing of Roe v. Wade, we've killed over 50 million babies, exterminated, murdered, killed 50 million babies since the passing of Roe v. Wade, to the point where it got overturned in 2022, was it? That's a lot of effing kids, bro. So the people that think we're not going to have consequences because of that, us allowing 50 plus million babies to be exterminated, there's going to be consequences for that. One of the consequences is I think we're going to have to bring in a lot of illegals. Immigration is going to have to go up. Now, the whole illegal immigration stuff, that's a different argument, but one can say they're allowing a lot of illegals to come in because we need the labor. We need the workers. Because Americans, for one, are killing their own people in large. Like, bro, you live in the richest nation in the world. Why would you not want to continue that prosperity within your family? You live in the first world country. You live in the richest nation ever in the history of mankind, and you don't want to you don't want your own kind, your kids, to enjoy this. Part of me thinks that one of the reasons why a lot of people my age and younger want to kill their own race is because they think that America's terrible. They think that America is not worth. That's bullshit, though. Because a lot of the people that say I want to have the ability to say no on having kids and be able to murder my own kids, the reason they're saying that is because they're like, well, it'll be a burden in my life. It'll be a huge inconvenience. And they say this because they're enjoying life in America. And they don't want any burdens, right? So this selfish, narcissistic mindset of hoarding everything for yourself and enjoying life for yourself without realizing you're getting fucking old and you're gonna die, guaranteed. Every single one of us is going to die. You're gonna fucking die, bro. You're gonna get old. Your brain's gonna decay. Your sexual drive's gonna decay. Women, you're gonna get ugly. You're gonna get saggy. So this limited hedonistic lifestyle that you want to live, hold on. Excuse me. This limited hedonistic lifestyle that you have the luxury of having in the richest nation of the world in 18 to 29 is going to be it's going to be gone, just like everyone else in the past. Right? There used to be a time that we had common sense of understanding that our 20s and 18, 19, some 17, some 16 served the purpose of reproduction. We can use that energy that we have and youthfulness in our 20s and teens productively, constructively. It serves a very important function. That once we get older, 30, 40, 50, we're going to be totally different people. Your energy goes down. Your mental sharpness goes down. Guaranteed. So these hedonistic generation, which really that's what Gen Z, millennials are. They are hedonist, which is literally an individual that prioritizes pleasure over anything else. That is what our generation is. We consume too much. We're addicted to a lot of things. We escape reality. Addicted to video games, addicted to food, addicted to drugs, addicted to partying, addicted to sex, hookup culture, addicted to money, selling ourselves, like the OnlyFans bullshit we got going on in the women's side. Everything is so dysfunctional in our generation. It really is. Everything is so dysfunctional in our generation. And there's going to be great consequences because we are ignoring the natural order of the world. You cannot escape the natural order of the world. In other words, you can't escape that you're getting old and you're about to die. Now, you can distract yourself on the smartphone and playing video games and looking on social media all day and fighting for bullshit. Makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. Look at some more comments here before I end this video. Exit polling, baby killers, yada yada yada. I mean, there are only two genders in Ohio. Good to know. Less socialist in reality. Like, again, the 18 and 29 stuff. I want to know how this was marketed in Ohio because there's a lot of propaganda, extremist propaganda that's not even true, that's marketed to the youth. One of the things that's marketed to the youth that it works, it's manipulation, right? You use the most extreme sense in support of why you should support pro-choice. You exaggerate it and you hammer that point. One thing that you can say, and one thing that is said by Democrats that are pushing that are endorsed by Planned Parenthood. They work for Planned Parenthood to a degree, right? So of course they're going to push it. That's how politics works. This isn't about rights. This is about money. This is about it being a business to murder your own people. That's all it is. And you have been suckered and bought into all the sales pitches to exterminate your own kind, labeling it as rights. It is your right to murder your own people. It is so foolish that we have gotten to this point. It is so foolish that, and this is my opinion, I think this is a fact too, the more immoral an individual or generation is, the more easily persuadable they are to do immoral things. When you stand for nothing, you fall for anything, in other words. When you have no virtues, no ethics, no honor, no integrity, you have none of that. When you're just almost like a dog, almost like a child that's guided by your emotions, you're so easy to fucking manipulate. Guaranteed. In a nutshell, that's what my generation is. Hedonist. Where was I going? Oh, the arguments that are said by Democrats that again are emotionally offensive and shocking. One could be that Republicans want to force births and not have any exceptions for the life of the mother, and they may hammer that point, even though it's fucking bullshit. All the states in the U.S., here in Texas included, have exception for saving the life of the mother. But because nothing is concrete, you can exaggerate that on the opposing side, the Democrat side, and you can say they want no exceptions. So if your life is in jeopardy, you have to die, and there's nothing that can be done. Right? This is propaganda. This is manipulation that is shocking to the naive, ignorant mind of the youth that is easy to manipulate. 18 and 29 is, I'm telling you right now, easiest generation to manipulate. Fact. Because you stand for fucking nothing. You're full of cowards. That's our generation. Simple fact. That's one reason out of many why 82% of them support murdering and exterminating their own people. Anyways, guys, I think that's enough. This is interesting to see and dissect. I'm going to be making more videos, political talks about cultural issues, social issues, and also Texas politics as well, because we need more people to step up and speak out courageously. Hopefully, I don't get banned or kicked out of YouTube. We'll see how long I'll last. Take care and have a good day.